Oh yeah, the Invisible Man got married years ago. Didn't you know that? Yeah, he did. He finally met an invisible woman and they settled down. Boy, their kids are nothing to look at. But, oh! Good morning, human beings and other monster fans. Welcome back to the Library of Horror Hotel, where it's time for Creepy Cheapies with Dr. Lady. I, of course, am... Who should I say I am? What? Say I'm somebody from old TV? Somebody from old TV. It's time for Creepy Cheapies with Dr. Lady. I'm the Brady Bunch. And today we have not just one mask, not one, not two, not four, but three cool masks that I think deserve your attention. These came out some years ago, but they were still in production as of this video recording event, which was 2021. So, you know, they're still available. Very exciting, these masks. I should have covered them sooner. I love these masks. These are such cool ones. Hosts of the old EC comic books, the scary horror story comic books of the 1950s, which of course inspired the movie and the TV series, etc., etc. Tales from the Crypt, the first of which is none other than the Crypt Keeper. This is the Crypt Keeper, and I know a lot of the humans out there, those of you who are still alive, are saying things like, "That's not the Crypt Keeper," because that's how you talk. I'm sorry. You're saying, "That's not the Crypt Keeper. The Crypt Keeper looks like a greenish-brown skull with a cartoon face and great big blue eyes." And yeah, but, well, see, that Crypt Keeper that you're thinking of, that was more the adopted into pop culture later on, was actually designed specially for the HBO TV series, Tales from the Crypt. And he didn't look anything like the original Crypt Keeper. The original Crypt Keeper in the comic books looked just like this. He was not a rotted skeleton guy. He was, in fact, a creepy old man with bushy eyebrows and a super enthusiastic face. Now, all three of these EC host masks were sculpted by an extremely talented human called Justin Mabry, and we talked about him before because he sculpted a lot of really wonderful masks for Trick or Treat Studios, which is the company that put these guys out in, what was it, I think 2016? Or, Oh, he says it was 2017. Sorry. 2017 was when these first came out. What fantastically good masks they all are. I love these, and, well, if you could see the rest of this room that I'm in when I'm doing the Creepy Cheapies for you here, you'd be able to see that they're, normally, all three of them are, I keep them displayed in a cabinet on the opposite side of the room, which you can't see because you'd have to turn around and look over. Anyway, if there's one thing you need in your library, it's monsters who like to tell stories, right? Now, what I love about this guy is he completely captures, to me, the essence of the personality of the comic book Crypt Keeper, who was the original guy that made the scary puns like "hello, boils and ghouls," you know, all that stuff. Everybody associates that with the television version, the skull puppet guy, but I don't know why they didn't just use a creepy old man like in the comics. But this mask, I think, is kind of a masterpiece of sculpture. It really captures not only the look of a retro comic book, but it has his friendliness and his slight threatening sense of menace. Like, he's delighted to see you, and he's so excited to get to tell you a horrible story that's going to chill you and give you the creeps and keep you awake tonight. There's something creepy and perverted and weird about him, but he's having so much fun. I love that. And it's really a challenge to take anything that exists only as a two-dimensional image and bring it into three, you know? To add an additional dimension to something that starts out as just a drawing is a really, well, it's a tricky thing. It's almost like magic. And I guess to some extent that's also true with movie characters. If you're working from stills from the movie, if you're sculpting, say, Bela Lugosi as Dracula, I've seen a lot of masks over the years of movie characters and movie stars, people who, they look good if you look at them from exactly one angle. You think, wow, that looks just like, but boy, you better not move, because if you walk across the room and you look at him from a different angle, it loses that resemblance and things become weird and wonky and the geometry doesn't match. Here I think it's especially impressive, and even more so with his friend I'm about to show you, the Vault Keeper. What? This is the Vault Keeper. The Crypt Keeper, of course, being the host of the Tales from the Crypt comic books. The Vault Keeper being the host of the Vault of Horror. And if I had to pick a favorite of the three, he says I do have to pick one. Okay, I would say it's him. I would say it's him. Just because, for one thing, it must have been really difficult for Justin Mabry to capture this in a sculpture. What I was speaking of is the challenge of taking something that originated as a drawing, and of course it was a series of drawings, and this is the case with any comic book or cartoon character. They have a tendency to look a little different from drawing to drawing, and in some cases from artist to artist, because people bring their own individual stylings to it, so they don't look 100% identical, and it's extremely difficult to capture something with the kind of realism combined with comic bookism that this does. And these masks just have it all. They have the fun and the humor and the perversity and creepiness and darkness and horror and all that. And I think this one is my favorite because Vaulty here, Vault Keeper, was the strangest looking of the EC hosts because his face is really not quite structured like a normal person. The Crypt Keeper is a slightly exaggerated, creepy old man, but the Vault Keeper is a very sort of goblinish or elfin. There's something wrong with his face that doesn't normally happen to people that doesn't come from just old age or coming from an ugly family or something. There's something weird and distorted. And the great thing about it is, follow me here, stay with me here. If you can imagine taking, if you could see the Vault Keeper on film, like old movie film, frame by frame, frames of film, which of course you can't because there was never an actual mask or a character like this in a movie. There was only the comic book drawings. But the thing I love about this is, to me, this looks like the Vault Keeper would look if he was in each frame of film turning around. There is no point at which I think, that doesn't look like the Vault Keeper. Every single angle of this mask looks perfectly in tune with the character and captures the personality and the sense of fun and satire, but while still being creepy. Now, one thing I heard other collectors complain, oh, the cheap fabric spoils it. Really? I don't know. I suppose it could have been nicer fabric, but let's be realistic here. This is actually pretty decent quality stuff. It's not that flimsy nylon kind of stuff like a Scream Ghostface mask has. It's more of a what is, not velour exactly, well, something like that. Slightly plushy fabric, but if they had used something more substantial, something with more, you'll pardon the expression, body to it, it might end up looking less like the drawings, because Vault Keeper was usually drawn with his hood looking like it just hung straight down, almost like it was soaking wet. It wasn't drawn to look bulked out like a Be-Something Fang Face hood or something. And if they had used something that feels, oh, it's all high quality fabric, it might have looked less like the spirit of the Vault Keeper. And he always looked like some medieval dungeon kind of guy. I think this color is perfect because it looks like 50s and 60s garish, monster, ghoulish green to me. Obviously he wore a green robe with it, and they don't make the robe, which is a shame. I wish I had a few yards of this fabric and could make a robe to go with this guy. I think your best bet, if you want to wear him or build a life-size figure, would be take the mask into your nearest fabric store, like Joann or someplace, or you could wear the mask in and frighten everybody, but take the mask with you and compare fabrics and see what's the closest thing you can find that is the closest possible match to this. Or if you want to remove this fabric and replace it with a hood made of something else. If you want a darker color or if you want something heavier, don't make it too heavy though, because I like it that this just hangs flat. It drapes and droops just like in the old drawings. But you should be able to find something appropriate. And like I said, I love the color, but one of the things I heard from a collector friend of mine was, oh, it's that tacky bright green. And I thought that was a perfect choice. When I first took the first one I saw out of the box, the first thing I thought was that the green is awesome. I love this color. It's perfect. But I guess not everybody feels that way, so apparently I'm mistaken. But I know sometimes it was drawn differently, sometimes it was colored differently, but I think this captures the essence of the period and the style and the content and the character better than a more mossy, earthy, olive army green would have. Although if you like that, you know, go for it. But I like it the way it comes. And another one I like is the third one in the series, The Old Witch, which is what my mother has called herself ever since I was a kid. She always calls herself the Old Witch. And those of you who know my mom will know I'm not kidding about that. And you know, for many, many years I've gotten birthday cards and Christmas cards and greeting cards on all the holidays signed Love the Old Witch. But that's my mom, that's not this old witch. But the Old Witch in the comic books was the hostess of the, not Tales from the Crypt, not Vault of Horror, but another series called The Haunt of Fear. And in the reality of the EC comics of the 50s, these characters know each other and compete to try to tell the scariest stories. And her fabric is not as deluxe as the fabric on the Vault Keeper, but once again, I think it looks perfectly fitting to the character because it hangs straight down. And that's because it's kind of lightweight. If you use something really heavy and really high quality, it might be a little stiffer and it might give her a slightly different look and look less dead, because she and Vaulty both have a very dead look, and the fact that their fabric hangs on them the way it does, I think contributes to that look. And just like the other two, this really looks like the drawings of the Old Witch. If she had been drawn from any angle you can imagine, this captures her. One of the many things I love about this series, each one looks like, at least for me, looks like my idea of the ideal representation of each character. And as mentioned, they were drawn by different people, so they tended to look a little different from story to story and from book to book, because people bring their own style to it. But I guess when I think of the original Crypt Keeper, and by the way, there was a movie in 1972 with Peter Cushing and Joan Collins and lots of famous people. The Crypt Keeper in that movie was played by a very fine actor named Sir Ralph Richardson, who didn't even use creepy makeup. He was just an old man. But that was an odd decision too, because they didn't give him the sense of humor and they didn't have him doing the funny, ghoulish, morbid stuff that the comics. So that wasn't really spot on, the portrayal either. Just like the cartoon or the puppet skull guy from HBO, nobody has really made one that's just like original Crypt Keeper. But I think when I think of him, I guess I think of maybe Jack Davis being the guy whose drawings I think perfectly capture the character. The Vault Keeper, Johnny Craig? Yeah, I think Johnny Craig is my favorite Vault Keeper illustrator, and this looks like his version of it. And again, it's a strangely shaped face with these bumps where they are and the way this is stretched. It must have taken some research to capture this and get it to look this organic and this crazy and dramatic and silly all at the same time. And the witch, definitely Graham Ingalls is my favorite illustrator of the Old Witch in the comics. And this looks just like Graham Ingalls' drawings come to life, come off the page at you. And obviously she's going to be easier to find a robe for than the Vault Keeper, because the witch just has red, and they make red costume robes sometimes, so you might be able to find something easy, or at least a red shawl. So get a witch's shawl on. Yeah. And one complaint I've heard about these guys, which sell for about 60 bucks each. I hate to give prices anymore because lately everybody says, oh, it was more, it was less, because it goes up and down like crazy these days. But about $60 is in the graveyard, the ballpark, for what these ought to cost. I've heard people say, oh, the Crypt Keeper should have had a blue hood, should have had blue fabric to make it look more like a part of the set of 3, because he has his green hood, she has a red hood, and he only has his zombie hood. But no, to be fair to the trick-or-treat people, it should be noted that in the comic books, these 2 characters always had the hoods on, and the Crypt Keeper was most of the time drawn without his hood up. He wore a blue robe. He has vaguely, to me, sort of a medieval dungeon keeper look. He doesn't look so much like a creepy old man who lives right down your street. He looks like a creepy old man from centuries ago, and he has a blue robe. And whether they really meant the robe to be bright blue, or they just meant it to be black or gray and that was a stylization, I don't know. But he usually did not have his hood up. He usually just had a robe, you know, with his head sticking out of the cowl neck of it. So if you want to have that blue because you think of them as associating the colors of the costumes because you've looked at the drawings a lot, you could put a piece of blue fabric on there, or I would say better, throw it around the bottom of him on your shelf so that it looks like he's wearing you know, a blue cowl neck collar on his robe. I think this is the perfect choice. Crypt Keeper, not having a robe, has more latex than the others. I don't know if you can see that, but he's a full, little more than a 3/4 mask. He doesn't come clear down with the neck, but he comes right to there. So it's a little more than a 3/4 mask. The others are more like 1/2 to 3/4 masks, slightly less maybe in the back, but they have the fabric hood in the back, so you get away with it. And in his case, you have the hair. I like the hair better on these 2 than I do on him. I don't know if it's the same on all the masks because I haven't seen all of them, but this is very realistic looking hair. This looks perfect too. His is that Kanekalon plastic kinky stuff that I'm not too sold on, but in the case of this character, I think they got away with it. And all 3 of these would be fantastic haunted house characters, fantastic haunted house characters, or to host your own videos of you telling horrible stories, introducing scary stories to people. What a great collection! The Crypt Keeper, the Vault Keeper, and the Old Witch from Trick or Treat Studios, around 60 bucks a piece. I say pick them up. I was very excited by them. And there have been other versions of these characters done before over the years, including some very fine ones. But to my knowledge, this is the first time a mass-produced, licensed version has come out that was of good, high quality, not just a little, you know, plastic kid's mask or something, but a really nice collectible quality. And I say thumbs up. How many thumbs? Oh, 13 probably. And we'll see you here again next week at the Crypt, the Vault, the Haunt, the Hotel.